Thank you, Mr. Lee, and thank you, Commissioner Pickens.
Thank you for having me. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. The chair will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes listed on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard. Is there any further discussion or changes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, at this time, we're going to recess the Board of County Commissioners meeting, and we're going to convene the Port Authority meeting. And the chair will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes listed on the agenda for the Port Authority.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, go ahead. I second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Goddard and a second by Commissioner Harvey to approve the minutes for the Port Authority listed on the agenda. Is there any further discussions, additions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Laura, do we have any public comment on Port Authority items this morning?
No, sir. I did find out that the one in the waiting room is part of Meridian's presentation for number 4. So if he can be let in, please.
Okay, I'll let him in right now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion or on the Port Authority from commissioners at this time?
I just have a comment real quick. It was a big schedule and due to double book. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but try it again.
There was a meeting scheduled this past week that I was unable to attend. I had and ended up double booking myself and ran over in an early morning meeting. So we're trying to reschedule that. So I'll be getting back with you guys on the rail spur and the property at the barge port sooner than later.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Is there any other comments or by the commissioners on this? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to adjourn the Port Authority and reconvene the Board of County Commissioners meeting at this time. The item number 4 on the list, which is a presentation to be made by Meridian. I think we have Alina Johnson and Don Savoy with us this morning. Don, Alina, are you with us this morning? I've got them in the room, Alina Johnson and Don Savoy.
Hi, we're here and we're just working out the kinks. We'll be in. Don will start his presentation.
Hey guys, can you hear me? This is Don Savoy.
Yeah, I've got you, Don. Go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. Hi, it's my video is not working for some reason. I wish it did. I just wanted to get an opportunity to meet y'all, and my name is Don Savoy. I am the CEO of Meridian Behavioral Healthcare. You've probably spoken with Dr. Maggie Labarda in the past. I've been with Meridian about 9 years, and I took over as CEO this January, right before the pandemic and everything else kind of came along. We're always excited to work with Putnam County and your citizens. The services we provide, we think, are essential and critical. I will tell you that at no time has Meridian closed any of our services or slowed down or during the pandemic. Again, because we consider it the most critical services. Volume for Putnam County continues to be up. In the report that I sent a little about a month ago, we continue to see folks in our addictions receiving facility, outpatient counseling, psychiatric clinics. One of the things I make note of is opioid addiction treatment, substance abuse treatment, is on the rise with residents of Putnam County. Through March 30th, we had treated 155 patients. Prior year, it was 135 for the entire year. I'd like to make you all aware that to that end, after 10 years, the state has opened up licensing for medication-assisted treatment clinics. And Meridian applied for that, as well as several other for-profits in Putnam County. We were awarded the application to apply, and we've done so, and we will be working with your support in the next coming months to stand up a substance abuse treatment facility in the Palatka area or somewhere close. So I'll stop there and ask if you all have any questions. You know, we do, the funding that we're talking about today is the Baker Act receiving funding, and we're asking for $50,474, an increase of 4%. That's commensurate with the increase in services. But I would also say that, you know, we provide a lot of wraparound services as well, and that's why we see the need to stand up a substance abuse treatment facility in Putnam County. I'd be glad to answer any questions y'all have.
I have a question, but I think it's more of staff. Is this money already in the budget, or is this something that's coming out of current reserves?
Mr. Chairman, I'll take that. The Meridian agreement is an annual agreement that we fund every year, and so it should be in the budget for this year. Okay,
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't in addition to. I knew that we funded it every year, with the exception of maybe the 4%. Does any commissioners have comments on this issue or item?
I do.
Commissioner Rawls.
So we're looking at less than a $2,500 total increase year over year, correct?
4%. Yeah, it looks like. All
right. Is Donald, you still on there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The 4% increase, will that include the facility in Palatka? You're talking about putting up a brick and mortar location here to do the opioid addiction treatment? I'm assuming that's going to be like Suboxone or one of those type medications.
Yes, that is correct, Commissioner Rawls. That would be methadone, Suboxone, and Vivitrol in those clinics. But this funding is not for that. The funding is specifically for a Baker Act receiving facility that right now is and will remain in Gainesville. It's the closest receiving facility. What we're looking to do with the substance abuse treatment will be funded through Medicaid. We will ask for some funding for the state and fee for service as well. So we will be asking the county for funding for that.
I just want to say I think this is phenomenal. It's something that we've needed in Putnam County for a long time. I've been an advocate for this thing for quite a while, and I'm really glad to hear that you guys are able to get this license and step up, because our folks need to hear more than anybody. If anybody needs it, we've got a really high rate. And then with what happened with COVID, and talking to Judge Morris, with the drug court shut down, people are going back to their comfort zones, unfortunately. And that I think is reflective in the numbers you're discussing. I'll bet if we were having a conversation about April, May, and June, the numbers would probably be more bleak, but that's just a guess. So I'm easy to get hold of. If you have any questions, concerns, if there's any way I can help you whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help you guys in any way I can. I'd like to see this come to fruition as soon as possible, and for us to get the word out, because I think this is something that's been needed for a very long time.
Yeah, and just to kind of give you an idea on the medication-assisted treatment clinic, it takes some time to stand up. We've got to find the bricks and mortar, and we could certainly use your help finding the location. But then we also have to work with the DEA for licensing, which has its own challenges and takes some time. But we have already submitted the app. We've already have it in process. This could take 9 months or longer, but we've already begun the process, because I agree with you. What we're seeing is a lot of folks from Putnam County driving for services to Gainesville.
Yeah.
And that's really what's precipitated us jumping in on the application process, the need. There is demand.
And it's a lot of strain on the community, because I'm sure there's a lot of folks that would love to kick the addiction, but when you look at it going to Gainesville or Daytona or St. Augustine out of county for these services, it just makes it that much harder. And if they don't have dependable transportation, then like I said, they go back to what's comfortable. So any way at all that I can help you, let me know. Again, I'm easy to get hold of. So if you want to reach out to me after the meeting, send me an email, your contact number. I'll give my personal cell number if you want.
That sounds great. I'll reach out right after this meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm good.
Does any other commissioners like to make any comments on this? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the 4% increase to their contract.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have multiple seconds. I think Commissioner Pickens seconded it. Commissioner Rawls made the motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. The next item on the list is we're going to move into public comment. I don't see anybody else in the waiting room. But I think Ms. Parsons has multiple emails to read this morning in this morning's meeting. So public comment is this portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. The public is encouraged to watch on YouTube Live or by sending an email in advance of the meeting to BOCC meeting comments at putnam-fl.com. Please include your name, address, and phone number. Ms. Parsons, would you please read into the record the emails of the people that wish to have that done?
Yes, sir. The first one's from Yvette Reyes, P.O. Box 253, Bostwick, Florida. Why are we allowing for the internet cafes to remain open when they are clearly packing people in there with no social distancing? The second email or public comment I received is from Douglas Hayes, 216 Huron Avenue, Satsuma. Greetings. I'm handwriting this statement because once again, BOCC has closed the much needed library system. Myself and others use the library for word processing, internet, and reading books. Our elders and children have lost a form of entertainment because of your decision. You have the resources and training to provide a safe environment to allow this service to continue. I'm actually writing to comment on your decision to spend $50,000 in advise on how to or perhaps not to spend the CARES Act grant on what it is intended for. You should be ashamed of yourselves. The $250,000 payroll you have for administrators and research grant writer don't have the skill set to understand the legislation. Perhaps a change is needed. Most of the other county websites have posted how they are spending the monies correctly. A little networking and a few phone calls, one could develop a proper plan instead of finding ways to skew the system. That $50,000 could have been given to our elders that still have to pay a garbage fee to help offset the costs they have incurred in masks and sanitizers to maintain personal safety during this event. Thanks and God bless. Douglas Hayes, candidate for BOCC District Number 3. And then the last one is from Charlie and Claudia Wilkinson, 155 Cassie Drive. My name is Claudia Wilkinson, 155 Cassie Drive, Palaca. Please excuse me for sending this to you by hand delivery to PC Government Complex Board of County Commissioner's Office. I tried every link that was online for assistance to make my comment known and failed. My husband and I were at the commission meeting on June 9th. It was hard to keep my composure after the opening of the meeting with prayer and pledge to our flag. The two college students, Adams and Leonard, were standing in front of us. They chose not to pledge to the flag, but to lock their hands behind themselves. I requested help from God to present the request of over 80 citizens. I later spoke and then handed in signed petitions from residents of Putnam County requesting saving the Confederate statue and all oak trees on courthouse grounds. I have looked, listened, prayed during the many proposals for solutions to our statue and the trees. I have not heard anyone volunteer finances for moving statue, destroying trees, replacing with new trees. Are the people who want this to happen going to pay for this? The chairman of our commission, Terry Turner, suggested a compromise of starting a fund to erect a new statue on the courthouse lawn of Vietnam War hero Jenkins. He also volunteered to be the first to donate. I believe this would be a wonderful compromise. The money that the county would have to probably spend for removal of all above and replacing could be used to a better advantage of protecting our communities of loved ones from the virus that seems to never end. The people trying to tear down all statues and destroy the oak tree should stop trying to destroy history, instead study it. If you destroy history, it will repeat itself. Please read this at the public speaking part of BOCC and also at the workshop to follow. Thank you. The Wilkinsons also included a page from a book, Thunder on the River, which I'm going to put a copy in each of your boxes, as well as 2 petitions with signatures that will also be copied and put into your box and given to Sarah for the record.
Okay, Laura, did you receive a copy of the email? I think it was for this afternoon's workshop where they had 579 petitions signed.
I did. I emailed that out to all the commissioners.
Okay, thank you, because that needs to be part of the record this afternoon, I think.
Yes, sir. I sent that to Sarah.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to, before we leave public comment, I answered Ms. Riaz back on her issue and told her that that the only thing that we've been able to find legally to do anything about an internet cafe is if they are over capacity. And so I don't know. I think the fire marshal is the one that enforces that, but maybe Sheriff DeLoach could chime in a little bit, if you would, Sheriff, on the capacity issue in the internet cafes. And I think Rich, our attorney, also had told us that we just couldn't make an exception of them. We have to treat them just like other businesses at this time unless we can find a different way. So Sheriff, would you mind commenting on that, please?
Yes, the statement that you made was correct in your assumption that we cannot just single out internet cafes. If we choose to enforce that portion of the governor's order, it would actually apply to all businesses and not just internet cafes, which becomes overly burdensome, not only on codes enforcement, but my office as well. We are continuing a conversation with Mr. Suggs and with Mr. Commando and my legal counsel here at the Sheriff's Office to see if we can come up with some sort of an amicable resolution.
Hey, thank you, Sheriff. Rich, did you have anything you'd like to add to that or not?
No, sir. Everything y'all have said is correct.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, we're going to finish with public comment, and we're going to move into item 6, the consent agenda. And I'm going to ask if any commissioners would like to remove any items from the consent agenda. I'll start with Commissioner Rawls.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Goddard.
I have none.
Commissioner Pickens.
I have none.
Commissioner Harvey.
I have none, sir.
Okay, the chair will entertain them. I have none. The chair will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harvey, and I think several seconds. Commissioner Pickens, I think, seconded it.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say items A through M.
Okay, thank you, sir. And that was your second, Commissioner Pickens, was for item A through M?
Yes, that's my second.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries unanimously for the consent agenda. Now we're going to move into item number 7, which is a citizen's request to reconsider a case that came before us last month. And before I ask Mr. Saunders to speak, I'm going to ask Thomas Moore and John Siafi, who have joined us from the Planning and Development Codes section, to address the board.
Good morning, Chairman Turner and Commissioners. After last month's meeting, we did a little more research on the partial lien release. Code enforcement and the board is in agreement on not giving partials, but in this circumstance, I think we need to allow it for a couple different reasons. There's no way to gain compliance. These were bought on tax deed sale. The gentleman can never remedy the issue. So I think in these cases, we need to do them case by case to determine whether they fall under that stipulation where they would be allowed to have a lien release partial.
Okay, thank you, John. Mr. Saunders, would you like to address the board this morning?
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to say I'm sorry I wasn't here last time. With COVID changing everything, I wasn't able to make it in. But there were a few points. One is, as Mr. Moore said, I'm not able to force the previous owner to do anything because I don't. And also, this type of property comes from a foreclosure, and it's a tax sale foreclosure. So I purchased the tax lien from the county, and then the owner never paid me, so I had to foreclose on the owner, and then nobody paid for it at the sale. So there's not even funds coming from this sale. And then also, from my understanding, the reason that the lien stays attached to the name and to all of the properties associated with the name is to be able to force the owner to remedy the liens, or remedy the problem. But in this case, it actually does the opposite of the intended, because it allows somebody to rack up liens on one property and then not pay their taxes on another property. So if it stays attached, then myself, but not just me, all the investors who find out about this would not be interested to invest in properties that are similar to this, to pay the taxes for this. So I don't want to change the county's ability to recoup monies from the liens, or the ability to pressure people to bring things into compliance. But I think, as Mr. Moore said, this is a specific case, and I think that cases like this where it comes from a foreclosure are pretty specific. Then let me see. So I believe that ultimately this will also help Putnam County and investors together to get the properties back on the tax roll that are not on it. And then there's the previous owner was like Verona LLC, I believe, and they own many properties like this, and they haven't paid the taxes on many of them. So it would allow us it would allow me to get this one, sell it, and then go and try and get another one similar to this and continue to get it back on the tax roll. So then also I've done similar things before. So I've purchased a tax deed, actually more than one, that had liens on them, and I've worked with the county, with you all at the Board of County Commissioners, and we've compromised and come to very reasonable conclusions. And I want to thank you for that, and thank you for listening to me. And then I also wanted to say, it might be worth talking with the Honorable Linda Myers also about this, because I know it's a complex, it's a pretty complicated thing. I keep stumbling over my words on how to explain it also. So you might be a really great person to talk to also about this. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saunders. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things concern me on this. We don't usually have a whole lot of these requests, and in this one we got 4 cases. So, Mr. Siafi, how much is, I guess, what's the lien on every case, or do we just, or some of them don't have a lien, but we just, like, say one out of the 4 maybe has a lien and we're holding the other 3 together with that? Is that what I'm understanding?
Commissioner Harvey, if I may say something in here, and I'm certainly not trying to answer for Mr. Siafi, but I did go meet with him on this issue. And I think that what makes this one different than most of these cases is that the violations were not created by the on this portion on this parcel. It was created by the previous owner on the parcel. And so this man has no way to rectify that situation other than asking us for relief on a partial lien. Otherwise, he has no choice but just to give the county the land back, because he can't fix it. He can't go to and fix the violations that are on the other piece of property that attach to this piece of property. So because of that, I think that's why the Mr. Siafi actually changed his viewpoint from last meeting to this meeting, was because otherwise we're going to get a piece of property, and that's the absolute last thing that we want to do, is wind up with another piece of property that we're going to wipe the code's claim out on it anyhow, where we can sell it to somebody else, and which is what we're trying not to do under Commissioner Goddard's program. So
which property has the lien on it? I mean, which property is the one that we cannot rectify, Mr. Siafi?
So, Commissioner Harvey, this is a couple different investment companies own these circumstances. So this is tied to, there's no code violations on these two properties that we're referencing here. Upon further review and in-depth conversation with the Ms. Linda Myers, we went back through all the records. The reason, I want to reiterate, we're not given a blanket partial lien releases for all properties. That's why we have to do them case by case. So this gentleman here purchased these on tax deed. There's no way for him to rectify it because the fines are on a different property that the old owner still maintains.
Mr. Siafi, I got that, but you're referring to two, and my paperwork shows 4 cases on my agenda. So all I'm trying to get to.
Yes, sir. We have different cases for each property. So we have a June 23rd on our last meeting. We had laid that out pretty in depth and with particulars on all the cases and all the fines and fees for all those matters. I could get this over to you if you'd like to re-reference the document.
That's fine. Is there a way, let me ask you this, instead of just us releasing it, is there just a way that we could say $1 per case and that satisfies the whole problem?
No,
then we didn't release anything. We still collected something. I mean, I agree. I don't want Mr. Saunders to be any more hurt than what he is, but these are very rare cases. And I think this is the first one I've seen in this position since I've been there. So, I don't think this is going to be the norm, but I don't want these properties back. So is there a way for us to say, okay, $1 per partial and you're satisfied?
So what you're suggesting, Commissioner Harvey, if I'm understanding correctly, is that we let him satisfy the liens on these properties for $1 per parcel.
Correct.
Okay, but not satisfying the liens on the other properties, because we don't want to satisfy those.
Okay, I think there's a little misconfusion here. Are we talking all 4 properties?
No, sir. There's 2 properties, but there's 4 codes cases, and the 4 code cases all came from other properties that the previous owner owned that attached. None of them came from this piece of property. Is that right, John?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Okay.
Are you still confused, Commissioner?
No, I got it. There's 2 partials we're talking about in 4 code cases total.
But the codes cases are on other parcels than these. They attach to these because they had a common owner.
Correct. So how do we maintain our spirit of our lien release and just say, give us $25, give us $4. I don't care the number, and everything's released. And then
what we need to be careful of, John, if you and Thomas cut in here if I misstate, I think what we need to be careful of here is, while we want to grant relief to Mr. Saunders, we don't want to grant relief to the previous owners for the parcels that they still own that these codes cases are attached to. So, So I think that what we need to do is, I think that what you suggested earlier, I think there's two parcels in question, I think, that Mr. Saunders owns now that he's trying to get release on. And if that's the case, and I think what you suggested earlier, for $1 a parcel, we're going to do a partial release that releases those two pieces of property from the code's claim against the previous owner. Is that correct? Would that be legal, Rich?
What you're describing is exactly correct.
Okay. So is that what you had in mind, Commissioner Harvey?
Yeah, I do. And I like that idea because it keeps our release intact, but we can provide some relief to Mr. Saunders. So, yes.
Okay. All right. Do any other commissioners like to make a comment on this before we take a motion?
I would real quick.
Dr. Rawls.
So, I was a little perplexed as to why this is coming back up. Now it's crystal clear. Can we just go ahead and make this a policy for the future? So when this does come up again, we'll be able to refer back to this one and say, this is what we did last time, and be able to have remedy, because I understand what Mr. Saunders is saying, being an investor, in the land, and we do need people to, like himself, to be able to come in to pay the back taxes, but have a policy established for cases like this that are just the oddballs.
Well, Commissioner Rawls, I think we need to listen to Mr. Cioffi and Mr. Moore and do this on a case-by-case basis, because what could very easily happen if somebody had a huge amount of violations on a piece of property, and they could run that piece of property through the tax certificate and then the tax deed process. And at that time, if our policy was that once it went through a tax deed sale that we release, partial release that lien, they could basically clean up any codes case they could and just sell the property to their wife or their kids or someone else, make sure they buy the property. Clearly, this is not the case in this particular one.
You've taken it completely out of context. So what I'm saying is that you have a completely separate party here. You have an investment group, had nothing to do with the original violations. But in this case, what I'm saying is keep this fresh in our minds, where if this happens again in the future, we're able to refer back to this case and say, well, here's what we did on this date, and here's how we handled it. Obviously, it would be up to the code enforcement department to bring this to us. But if there's more of them out there, I'm sure there are, we just need to keep this one around so we can reference it, because it is an oddball.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Rawls.
Yep.
Is there any further comments on this case?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Sanders, I think you're fixing to get what you want, but you're welcome to speak.
I just wanted to say that there are many more cases like this. There are a lot.
Well, and I'd just like to say that they've got to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis, because this could get out of hand real quick.
Absolutely.
So it's got to be something that code. Yes, Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah, I agree. I see Commissioner Rawls' side and Commissioner Harvey's also, but I think the scenario you painted out is correct, that you could actually try to do that, is to try to pass those on to another buyer, and then all of a sudden you're getting rid of your code cases one by one for $1. I think we really need to look at this at case by case.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further comments? If not, the chair will entertain a motion. Commissioner Harvey, would you put your suggestion into a motion, please, sir?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd like to make a motion that the board accepts $1 on these partials to release the lien.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard to charge $1 a piece for the release of the partial release of lien that just attaches to this property only. Is there any further discussion?
For clarification, I have a question. Is it a partial lien release, or is it a full lien release on those parcels only that he has?
It's a full lien release on the parcels that he owns, but it's a partial lien release on the total codes case.
Correct.
Right, but the other parcels still have liens in place.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries unanimously. Okay. We're going to move at this time to item number 7, the clerk of court. Mr. Smith, you have anything for us this morning?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just some general information, but first I want to mention that our finance director, Susan Frank, went with her family to visit her mother in Kansas last week, and while she was there, her mother passed away. So Susan was supposed to be back with us today, but she is spending an additional week in Kansas with her family. So I want to certainly offer my sympathy, and I know all of you do, to Susan, and
absolutely
pray for her family. So I just want to share that with you. Also, just to mention, from the court's reopening perspective, I know all of you have been involved with Judge Boatwright and the issues as it relates to that. Earlier in July, we anticipated that we were going to resume more normal operations, actually this week and next week with some jury trials, but the courts have decided that they were not going to move to phase 3 of their reopening until at least August. So we continue to work with them to establish a time frame to begin to have jurors come back. They're laying out their plan for safety of jurors as it relates to the COVID issues, and we'll continue to try to support them in their effort to move forward with that. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
I see you're in the sit room at the at your house. So
situation room.
Situation room. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good deal. At this time, we're going to move into appointments, and we're going to ask if any commissioners have appointments, and I'm going to start with Commissioner Rawls.
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Goddard.
I have none.
Commissioner Pickens.
I have none.
Commissioner Harvey.
I have none, sir.
Okay, and on the library board, as Miss Rayfield reached out to us, to Laura, to see if she was interested, say she was interested.
Yes, sir. I reached out to her and told her her term was expiring and asked if she was still willing to serve, and she does.
Okay, then on the library board, I'd like to reappoint Victoria Rayfield for another term.
Thank you.
That's a District 3, so it's not a nomination, just an appointment. And Commissioner Harvey, did I ask you, did you have any appointments?
You did ask me, and I have none, sir.
Okay, sorry. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss you. I'd be in trouble.
Not for me, you wouldn't.
Okay, good deal. At this time, County Administrator Terry Suggs, do you have any comments for us this morning?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, I have no comments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Suggs. Next is Mr. Commando, Colonel Commando. Do you have any comments for us this morning, sir?
No, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. This time I will ask for any commissioner requests. And I'm going to start with Commissioner Rawls.
I have no requests. Just a couple of comments. I've been getting bombarded with ideas from folks on how to handle the CARES Act money. There's a lot of sentiment that people like to see the money put back in the community. But we were talking with the gentleman from who was Meridian, talking about the opening up of a brick and mortar facility for substance abuse for alternative medications. I think that would be a great way to spend some of that money, because there has been a direct impact because of COVID on folks that were making strides in their sobriety and who have gone backwards. And I think that would be something that we could look into, and probably the sooner they could find sources of funding, the quicker they can get open, and the sooner we can get our community some help here. Still working on the revised floor plan. We have a new floor plan that we're going to be presenting to you guys, it looks like, for the animal services building. Same square footage, different shape, but it's something that staff came up with. So we'll be getting that to you here sooner than later. Otherwise, I'm good.
Thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Goddard.
Well, I was going to ask about animal services, so I'm glad that came up. I'd still like to know what's the projected time plan on the on Project Play.
Ms. Young, could you answer that at this time?
Sorry, I had a problem unmuting. Yes, we don't know that we have a projected time. We are working with Rotary to schedule a ribbon cutting when it is agreeable to both groups.
Okay. Okay. All right. I guess I'll go back to where I was. I really miss seeing everybody. I understand why we're not, but I miss seeing everybody in the formal setting. And as I usually say, get out and see Putnam County. I go out to Rodman, down to the riverfront. Matter of fact, we've been eating several meals down at the riverfront. It's enjoyable. Again, the Veterans Park, if you haven't been there, that's a neat thing to go see. And of course, all our playgrounds except Project Play are open. And all I can say is go out and enjoy what we have here. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Goddard. Commissioner Pickens?
Yeah, no request, but I do have some, comments. Just want to thank Commissioner Rawls for working with the Animal Control or Animal Advisory Board to come up with that revised floor plan for the new Animal Control Center, because everybody's looking forward to trying to get that started. I want to thank Matt Reynolds for taking time off yesterday and all the staff for the budget presentation and workshop. I think it went very well, and just want to thank everybody for that. And really just thank Terry Suggs for his new plan with staffing that saved roughly $150,000 for our budget. And so I think that's going to work really well. And last Wednesday, my wife Holly and I went out to the Emergency Operations Center to help them with some contact tracing calls, which we helped them just for a few minutes there. But actually, we got an explanation and a tour of how they're handling the COVID. It's different than how they handle a hurricane or catastrophe like that. And it was very interesting. I just want to thank Quinn Ramey and Brian Simpson and the staff for the job that they're doing out there. And we're really lucky to have them and have that facility and trying to keep us safe. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. And I too want to thank Commissioner Rawls for the work he's done on the animal shelter and getting that caught up. Looking forward to the CARES Act money when we can develop a plan for that. I have submitted mine, and it does include some of those things. Also, I want to say the census. Yesterday, I was on a call with Lieutenant Governor's office, and Stephanie Kopoulousis is now the head person basically on the census, her and the Lieutenant Governor. Putnam County is at 49.2% of self-reporting, and we need to get that up a little bit, about 3 more percentage points. The people are going to be, the door knockers are going to be going out in August. So if you want to avoid the knock, and again, guys, avoid the knock is the catchphrase, then self-report. And they can go on the website and find a way to do that and or give us a call. But if we could all promote that a little bit more heavily, the governor's office would like us to be up over the 50% mark very, very soon. And as long as everybody's counted once and counted correctly, that's my goal. And that was the goal that the Citizens Committee had established. I also want to say to Mr. Suggs, to Matt, all of the board members, thank you very much for this budget that we worked through. I can see where the reorganization has been a positive thing for our county. And again, as Commissioner Pickens said, the savings of $154,000, and the quality of people that we are getting to come in to work, it's just amazing to me. And do appreciate Matt Reynolds for all of his hard work, coming in on days that he doesn't even have to be here to help us through that process. This is going to be a great budget. I feel very confident that we're going to be doing more and better things that we have done in the past. And it's just a pleasure working with all you commissioners and our staff and Mr. Suggs in moving this county forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. I would also like to talk a little bit about the CARES Act funding and mostly the consultant. We signed the consulting agreement, and the county staff is going to meet with the firm tomorrow morning. I know that we've been catching a little bit of hell on the street and on social media about hiring a consultant, but guys, I'm standing up for that decision. I'm standing up for it. We got $13 million that this county is going to be on the line for if we don't spend it correctly. The social media is saying silly things like, oh, we're hiring somebody to keep us out of jail, or we're hiring somebody to keep us out of trouble. And we only got $3 million where Alachua County got $46 million. And I didn't go back on that social media and try to debate those people about that it's all set on how many people you have in your county. It's a percentage of pro rata thing. So, you know, you just can't put all that out, but I am standing up for that decision, because if I was in my private business and there was a $13 million deal that I could lower the liability to my cell phone by hiring a consultant, I'd hire them before we even snapped your finger, I'd hire them. So this is the correct thing to do, and I'm standing by that decision, and I'm glad the county commission made it unanimously. The last thing I'd like to say is I'd like to join the other commissioners in telling Matt Reynolds how much I appreciate him helping us with this budget, because he didn't have to do it. He's on administrative leave, and he's taking his own personal time to help us stay up on it. I think that that's incredible of him to do that. I also would like to say that I think this budget year is going real well. It's going real well in the form of, it looks like we're going to be able to drop our landfill assessment into the tune of about $40 a year, and to all the citizens of Putnam County. And as Commissioner Pickett's brought up earlier, I think it's a very key part of this that Commissioner Suggs was able to start on his reorganization that we approved a few months ago by saving the county $154,000 approximate dollars out of payroll budget while doing that. So that paid a big portion of, if the commission continues to want to try and give a raise to the employees of Putnam County, most of it was paid for from the savings on the reorganizational plan of the administration. So I think that was a big feather in the administration's cap to get that done. Does anybody have anything else to come before the board today? Hearing none, this meeting is recessed until 5:05, when we will have a hearing, a public hearing on the Land Development Code Amendment Article 3. So we stand recessed until 5:05.
Get a new Zoom link.
And we'll get a new Zoom link for 5:05. Do we get a new Zoom link for 2 o'clock workshop?
Yes, sir. Each meeting has its own Zoom link.
All right, thank you. Did all the commissioners hear that?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Rawls, did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. This meeting is hereby recessed.